Shalom Aleichem and welcome to Online Smicha. In Medrash Tanchuma it's brought that a person always should daven that for his old age, that when he becomes old in Mir to Hashem, he should be able to, everything should function. He should be able to see, he should be able to eat, he should be able to walk around, that he should be healthy and well even at his old age. Some Mefarshim, actually the Rebbe of the Ramban, learned Pshat, that this is actually what we say in Shemoneh Esrei, when we say Al Ziknei Amcha Beis Yisrael, we thank Hashem for the elders amongst Klal Yisrael. That's part of the blessing that we should be blessed, that in our old age we should have the wealth, the health, and the whereabouts to be able to function properly. And we know the famous pasuk that we say in Slichos, Al Tashlichenu le'ezikna kechleis keichenu al tazvenu. In these parshas that we're learning now, there's a lot about old age. The Gemara says in Bava Metzia that until Avram came along, there was no such thing as zikna, as old, being old. What happened was, a big issue came about. Avram and Yitzchak, their facial features were very, very similar. So a person came to speak to Avram, because there was no old age, he saw Yitzchak, he thought he was talking to Avram, he spoke to him. Somebody came to speak to Yitzchak, and he saw Avram, thought this was Yitzchak, and he spoke to him. So it was a confusing time. So Avram davened to Hashem, and Avram prayed, davened, that the Eibusha should make, that the life should be in such a way, you should be able to tell a difference between somebody older and somebody who's younger. And Hashem accepted his tefillah. That's what the Gemara says. And from then on, there became differences between an old person, an elderly person, and a youngster. And this is what it says, Vavram Zakein Baba Yamim. So the Maharsha asks a question. Is this the first time in the Torah where the word Zakein is mentioned? We already find earlier, by Sidaim, it says, Minar Vad Zakein. Even by Avram Avinu himself, earlier mentioned of Adaini Zakein. We find Avram v'Sarah Zkenim. Why only over here at this time with Yitzchak we established that's when old features came to the world? And the Maharsha answers that until then, obviously, when people were old, they looked elderly. And they looked not like a youngster. But what changed was, until Avram Avinu, there was no such thing as white hair. You might have had wrinkles on your face or something, you looked a little older. Something changes with time. But white hair, it should be so obvious, that didn't take place. And that's why the people who came to speak to Avram or Yitzchak made a mistake. They looked, everybody has the same color hair. So Avram Avinu prayed that it should be obvious that when somebody is older with the white hair, it should be noticeable who's old and who's young. This is the Maharsha in Masechta Bava Metzia. Now we find a very fascinating letter. The Rambam wrote a letter to his son, and the Rambam says that his daughter makes his hair turn white. Why? Because a father who has a daughter, and the daughter is always on the mind of the father. How could I be blessed to find a proper shidduch? The shidduch for your daughter is so much on your mind, and it's so stressful, quote unquote, it causes the hair to change color. A young man may even have white hair. So some say this is beautifully fit into this pasuk. The pasuk says, Vavram Zakein Baba Yamim. Avram was blessed. Avram became old in time and days. Vashem Beirach es Avram Bakoil. Hashem blessed him Bakoil with everything. And the Mefarshim say Hashem blessed him with a daughter. Avram prayed that he should look old. There should be a difference between a youngster and an elder person. Hashem says, fine, I'll accept your tefillah. Here, I bless you with a daughter. When you have a daughter, it's going to be so much on your mind that's going to cause your hair to change color, to change and become white. talking about old age, there's actually another part of this pasuk of parsha that is connected to zikna, to old age. At the end of the parsha, we talk about Akedas Yitzchak, and at Akedas Yitzchak, thankfully at the end, Hashem says, you know what? I don't need Yitzchak as the sacrifice. Why don't you get the ayil, the ram? So the Gemara says, Rashi quotes the pasuk, Rashi quotes the statement, this ram, Muchan hoyo lekach misheshis umebreshis. That ram this ayil was ready and waiting for this from the time of creation of the world. He was waiting to fulfill his mission in the world, to serve as the sacrifice for the Akedah. And the Mishnah in Pirkei Avos Taka says that this ayil, this ram, was created Erev Shabbos Bein Hashmashis, the first Friday of the creation of the world. So the Mefarshim ask, we're talking about a mighty old ram. We're talking a ram at this point, it's about 2,000 years old. For an animal to be served as a carbon, there are things that render the animal pasul, as a mum, as a blemish. One of the things that render the animal, one of the disqualifying things that render an animal pasul is very old age. And excuse me, this one is 2,000 years old. So some say that it doesn't mean it was actually created Bein Hashmash's time. Some Mefarshim say it was created, this animal was born at the time of the Akedah, somewhere near then. But from the time of Sheshes Shemei Breshis, it was decreed that an animal will replace Yitzchak. But perhaps you could say even better based on what we just spoke about. Until Avraham Avinu came along, there was no such thing as old as a blemish. Every old man, every old human being looked young. Avraham Avinu is the first one to start this business of a old and white hair. So it could be that up till then, the animal was 2,000 years old, but it was young and fresh, and it would not disqualify him as a carbon.